For the Glory is proudly powered by Mullaney Dairies.
Hello and welcome to another episode of For the Glory, an athlete empowerment production series brought to you by the Wattle Nest. My name is Rachel Condos-Fields and I'm super excited to introduce you to some of Australia's great sporting talent as we share their stories, celebrate their success and embrace the power of sport as a true connector within our community. Joining me today, as always, is our glamorous co-host and Australian track and field athlete, Nana Awasu.
Hey,
welcome.
Rachel, how are you today?
Really good, thanks Nana.
Thank you for having me.
We are super excited to have in the studio with us today virtually Australian climber Lucy Stirling. Welcome, Lucy.
Hi, thank you for having me.
No, thank you for talking to us today. I want to hear a little bit about your story. I've read that you started rock climbing at 12. Can you tell us a bit about that journey?
So I started off my life doing a lot of sports, a lot of outdoor. I climbed a lot of trees. I used to climb the electric fence at home to get away and explore around the local community I was in. And I've been climbing pretty much everything since I was 2. So when I discovered the sport, it was pretty quick, a pretty quick addiction. I ended up just loving it and going from there.
What does a week of training look like for you as a rock climber?
So training involves a lot of everything. It's generally 4 or 5 days of on-wall training, which is like climbing specific training on the climbing wall. And generally, like the climbing walls have plastic holds, which are moved around once a week, and I get to train on them specifically to what I need to work on at that time, depending on when the next competition is. And then there's all my off-wall training, which is a lot of strength and conditioning. Then I do some running and cardio, stretching. So every day is some form of training involved, and depending on what time of the season, I will be working on different things. Yeah.
So Lucy, we know that rock climbing or sports climbing is one of the world's fastest growing sport, and participation is on the rise here in Australia. At Tokyo, we saw sports climbing introduced as an Olympic sport, but there's 3 disciplines. Could you tell us a little bit about the 3 unique disciplines and the way qualifying works?
Sure. So specifically, competitions are indoor on artificial walls with plastic holds. And so there's 3 different disciplines called speed, lead, and boulder. So speed climbing is basically sprinting up the wall. Nothing changes the route and the plastic holds don't move around. You're just sprinting up the same climb that's been set and trying to get the fastest time to the top of the wall. Lead climbing is the one with the ropes and the harness. So it's basically judged on how high you get on the wall or how far you get on the route. You have a maximum time limit, but it's more of an endurance. You're trying to get as far as you can on the wall, but you only have one attempt. Bouldering is a bit more complicated. You don't have a harness or rope involved. Your safety is the matting, so they have big soft mats underneath you, and you have a series of shorter climbs that are set specifically for the competition that you've never seen before, and you have to problem solve and work them out. And you have as many attempts as you like, but you only have like 4 or 5 minutes, depending on which round, to try and get to the top of that boulder in the least number of attempts you can.
I've been fortunate enough to watch you climb live at some of your tournaments around Australia, up at the Sunshine Coast in particular. And climbing has this really, really unique atmosphere. You know, I was blown away. Everyone had their dogs there. It was a real all-inclusive environment. How would you define the culture of climbing?
Climbing has always been a very welcoming, diverse sport. Maybe not always, but that's what I love about it. And that's what made me fall in love with it from the beginning. I remember starting my climbing career and I was started in the youth program at the local gym. And I just remember being blown away by how relaxed everybody was and like just easygoing and welcoming no matter who you are. And I'm always blown away by that every year throughout my career. And in competition specifically, everyone's under pressure, everyone's up against each other. And yet there's still that sense of community. Everyone's there supporting each other regardless of, your goals and what you're up against. So each of us have to visualize the climb in finals, and we're all there battling against each other, but really we're all there helping each other as well. So in the visualization period, we're all helping each other figure out certain parts of the climb and figuring out the moves together and problem solving, rather than just doing it individually, which gives you an idea of how unique this sport is in the way that it's welcoming and pretty lovely space to be in.
And I'm sorry, I should have started the session by congratulating you, because Nana, we've got 2022's national champion here with us today. Lucy had a tremendous tournament recently and has come away with a silver and a gold, and did really, really, really well. But Lucy, leading up to that, I know it hasn't all been smooth sailing. You've gone through some pretty challenging setbacks, particularly with qualifiers rescheduled and injury. You've also, at points in your climbing career, faced some personal challenges with confidence and body image. If you don't mind me asking, would you mind telling us a little bit about some of those challenges leading up to Nationals this year and what that's done for you?
Yeah, for sure. I guess it's hard to know where to begin in terms of my career and the setbacks along the way. Everybody has their own challenges. For me, leading up to the last Olympic qualifiers was a huge journey of overcoming obstacles, mental and physical. I had a fall outdoors and fractured my sacrum at one point and had a 12-week recovery. There was grief involved in terms of the setbacks from COVID, and we were 10 days away from qualifying for the Olympics, and I had a 4-year preparation for that, and then it's just taken away. And they're just two of actually even the smaller things along throughout my career that have felt like at the time like a setback, and in the long run down the track you realize that in the process of having gone through them, you've learned a lot about yourself and how to keep putting one foot in front of the other and working towards your goals, understanding why you're working towards your goals and how much it means to you for the right reason. Pushing through, because when life kind of gives you an out in terms of, when you want to give up on some of your goals because it's really hard or you're struggling, that's kind of when you need to push through and keep going and recognize why you're doing it. In terms of this Nationals, I think there was, I guess, so much going on this year. It was all positive things though, which is kind of different, but usually I'm used to kind of a lot of setbacks which are somewhat negative, like an injury or something. This year it was just a lot of, I got married this year, which was actually wonderful. And I moved into my new house, and there were all such positive things, but it still adds a level of stress. And coming out of COVID, we're all quite overwhelmed in terms of mental approach to competition and training, and it's difficult for everyone in their own way. I had some anxieties this year, and I think that was my biggest challenge is, figuring out how to push through those things that are kind of new to you, and figuring out how to, find support in that area and continue pushing. Yeah, so not too many obvious setbacks towards Nationals this year, but I think it was an awesome year in preparation, and I'm really happy with the outcome.
You should be really proud and really, really happy. Now, you don't really switch off from climbing. I know that you do outdoor climbing as a bit of a hobby, and when you're not indoor training, you're using your weekends and spare time exploring the great outdoors, but a little bit differently than most Australians do. Tell us a little bit about the unique magic of outdoor climbing and if there's an opportunity for Lucy to bring those stories to life.
Yeah, so climbing's a wonderful sport in many ways, and it's because there's so many ways you can pursue areas of the industry and find, adventure. So, like, there's indoor sport climbing in competitions. There's outdoor. There's so many. Even just outdoor climbing, you can find so many different ways to push yourself and find purpose. And outdoor climbing is something I've always had a passion for. And it's unique to indoor climbing because separate, because it's just a different journey. You can find a climb that's been set up by somebody else or even by yourself, and you work on it for however long you need. And it's a personal journey of I'm trying to explain what rock climbing outdoors is. There's a series, sometimes they're bolted, sometimes there's no protection, which is called traditional climbing. Generally, I'm more experienced in sport climbing, which is a pre-bolted route where the safety is already there, and I go up and put a rope through quick draws as I go up. So it's very safe, and you pursue sometimes harder grades and working towards a project that you haven't done before, which I really, really enjoy, because some climbs you get on for the first time and you might not be able to even do, one of the moves, or the hardest move is called the crux in the climb. And sometimes it feels impossible. And you have this journey of figuring it out for yourself and slowly chipping away at working out how to get through it. And eventually the climb comes together, and at that stage, generally, you don't even have to think. Your mind or your body just tells you how to do the climb, and it's just like dancing up the wall. And that is truly magical, and something that I haven't really had the opportunity to do for a while, because I've been so focused on indoor competitions and training. It's quite restrictive in terms of how often you can get outside. So I'm excited to explore that a little bit more next year. And pursue some of my passion for adventure on outdoor rock.
We're looking forward to following some of that magical footage, because there's something pretty special about watching outdoor climbing. We are running out of time. Nana's going to play with you the Fast Four, so put on your trivia cap and get ready as Nana fires 4 questions at you.
So I have a couple questions for you, Lucy. The first one is, what is the national animal of Scotland?
Is it is it some form of like a marmot?
No, the answer is, wait for it, the unicorn.
What?
Yeah, I know.
It is their national animal.
My second question for you, in a deck of cards, does the King of Hearts have a moustache?
No.
Correct.
He's the only king without a moustache. There's a fun fact for you.
Oh, my next question for you is, how many hearts does an octopus have?
2.
Close. The answer is 3. And my last question for you is, what is the name of the female wheelchair basketball team?
And your friend plays for them, Hannah Dodd.
No, I'm not sure, sorry.
That's okay. The answer is the Wombats.
Wombats. Okay.
There you go. Thank you so much, Lucy, for joining us in studio today. We wish you all the very best of luck for what's ahead and can't wait to follow your story, and hope you've had a bit of fun.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome.
And Nana, thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, Rachel. And keep going, Lucy. We're so excited to see where rock climbing takes you.
Thank you so much, Nana.
Well, that concludes this episode of For the Glory. Be sure to tune in next time as we discuss and share more stories from the professional athlete world. Thanks everyone. Until next time.